everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome to the second practice of holiday season yoga flows for 2021. My name is Daria if you're new here, and today's class is called Let Your Heart Be Light. So we'll be working with lots of back bending and front body opening, strengthening the back line of the body to open the front line and feel really expansive and open, especially in the heart area. So for this class, we'll be working up to wheel pose as our peak posture. All you'll need is yourself and a space to move, and I'm really excited to share this sequence with you. So whenever you're ready, let's get started. Let's get started today in child's pose. So make your way there. You can either bring the knees wide or keep the knees together, whatever's feeling good for you. And then crawl forward until your forehead or maybe your chest and your chin connect with the mat. Take a moment here just to settle, just to drop everything, and let's do it with the breath. So breathe in through your nose. And on a big sigh, drop all your bones. Feel heavy and weighted and anchored to the earth beneath you. Let's take one more of those. Inhale through your nose, fill up your full spine with breath. And then exhale, drop everything, release. Don't worry about activating your arms or stretching your spine too much right away. And you can take as many sighs as you need to continue to settle deeper, to drop anything that's happened so far in your day or anything that needs to happen later on. Root yourself in your sensations to stay really present. Begin to feel breath in the back of your heart, expanding between your ribs and then flowing up and down your spine with the inhalation and the exhalation. And throughout this practice, continue directing breath to the front and the back of your heart. Imagine that your breath could warm those spaces, turning them from maybe an icy feeling to something that feels more fluid. Relax the back of your neck, elongate from the base of your head through the crown of your head. And soften through your hip creases and start to sink hips closer to heels. Stay here for one more inhale. And one more exhale. And begin to look forward, and we'll shift all the way forward, sliding the palms front. You can bring the tops of your feet down in line with your knees, and then find Hatasana, puppy pose. So either the heart and the chin can melt to the mat, or again, the forehead. Imagine that your heart is made of something warm, and so as you lie here and press your heart down to the earth, let the earth beneath you actually begin to get warmer and meltier. Breathe deeply to your low belly. Let the creases in your forehead unwrinkle. Now feel into the back of your heart and breathe from the lines there all the way down into your hands, into the earth. Stay for 2 more rounds of breath and see if you can let go even more. Surrender yourself more to gravity, more to the pull from the core of the earth downward. Now press into your palms and into your elbows. You can use the tops of your feet to ripple forward, and we'll come all the way down to lie on our bellies for Sphinx. So the elbows are about 1 inch in front of the shoulders. Widen your palms and anchor your fingertips. And then get active here. So pull your elbows back towards your hip bones. And feel your low ribs pulling up towards your heart. We'll take some neck circles. So drop your chin towards your chest. Feel a nice stretch in the back of your throat. And then revolve right ear toward right shoulder. Lift all the way up and around to stretch the front of your throat. Roll to the left and then back forward. Go one more time in this direction. Root your toenails, root the tops of your feet. Stay with sweet, full, and directed breath. Now reverse the circle. So first, the left ear tips toward left shoulder. And then lift all the way up and around. Let your eyes lift. Roll right ear toward right shoulder. And then chest drops back toward, or chin drops back toward chest. One more circle to the left. And now release your heart all the way down to the mat and draw your palms back so that your fingers are aligned with your chest. Press the tops of your feet down, press into your palms, and rise to a really gentle cobra. So the tops of your thighs can stay anchored. Squeeze the back of your heart with your shoulder blades. Keep buoyancy in your elbows, a little bit of a micro bend, and then stretch your heart to the top of your mat. And if you're feeling any crunching in your low back, you can come down just a little bit, or you can walk your palms more forward. Take one more inhale to lift your heart higher. And then on the exhale, release your front body to the mat. Tuck your toes. Plant your palms beside your ribs. Come through hands and knees, and we'll find tabletop. You can untuck your toes here. Take a few rounds of cat-cows, riding the waves of your breath. Let the inhale ripple your spine into a cow shape. So your butt is like it's sticking back, and your heart is stretching forward and up as your gaze lifts. And then on the exhale, hollow your front body like you could swallow it with your spine. Press the earth away from you and create a nice stretch between your shoulder blades as you drop your head. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. Squeeze your inner thighs together. Lift up through your pelvic floor. And one more round at your own pace. Come back to a neutral spine and then walk your knees together. Tuck your left toes behind you and lift your right knee so that it's aligned with your hips. You can flex the right foot. We'll take a few cat-cows with the knee lifted. So inhale, stretch your right toes high toward the sky, and then lift your gaze just as much as your toes are lifting. As you exhale, pull your right knee to your chest, and then see if maybe you can connect your knee to your forehead. Inhale, lift the knee, lift the heart, stretch to the top. And exhale, curl in really, really tight. Use your core. Inhale. This time we'll stay lifting with the right knee. Press into your right palm and then reach with your left hand to grab for the top of right foot from the inside. Flex your toes into your hand and then begin to kick. Squeeze your inner thighs toward the midline. Swell your heart forward. Claw the mat with right fingertips. Stay for one more inhale. See if you can kick a little more. Lift your heart a little higher. And then gently, or maybe not so gently, release left hand and right knee down. Tuck your right toes and lift your left knee in line with your hip. Inhale, cow in the spine. Stretch up through left toes and your gaze. Exhale, squeeze belly to spine as you hug your knee to your chest or chin or nose or maybe all the way to forehead. Inhale, lift your toes, lift your eyes. Exhale, curl inward. Inhale, lift your left knee. This time we'll stay. Flex your foot as you anchor into your left hand and sweep right arm around to grab for the top of left foot. Find your connection, flex toes into hand, and then use your left glute. Energize it so that you can kick hand to foot. Now breathe without panicking. Sometimes in these shapes that it's a bit more challenging to balance, we can kind of panic a little bit. Try to calm your breath, even it out. And keep length in your front body. Think of reaching longer and longer and longer. And then release down. Try without slingshotting to place the right hand and the left knee back to the mat. Tuck your toes behind you. Press your palms into the earth, down and forward, and then glide back to downward facing dog. Feel the lines from the back of your heart reaching down to your palms and then down to the earth. Breathe into these lines. And then anchor your feet just as much as your hands are anchoring. So the toes can be really spread. The heels maybe are hovering. The knees might be micro bent, whatever you need to keep length in the spine. And then as we pull up through the lines of arms and legs, create a lightness to the quality of this shape. It's as if you're suspended here. And try to let everything be just a little bit easier without letting go of the engagement, but releasing any internal effort that you don't necessarily need. And also releasing any pressures externally, internally, that are causing you to feel heavy or weighted or unable to find lightness. And we'll bring in some ripples through the spine. This is a really, really subtle movement, so you can watch first if you like. Well, really lift up from your very, very low belly, rounding your spine. Gaze toward your belly button, and then watch as it suctions in and up. Then squeeze your low ribs in and up towards your heart. And then finally round your spine so much that your head stretches to the top of your mat. Then lift your sacrum, widen your sitting bones, and glide back to down dog. So really little ripples. As you inhale, the spine will round, the core hollows. And then as you exhale, it's like a cow shape, so kind of sticking your butt back and pressing your heart to the top of the mat. One more little ripple like that. Inhale. And exhale. And we'll begin to exaggerate these ripples. So as you inhale, flood your body with breath. Lift your heels, firm your quads. We'll round the spine forward, almost all the way to a high plank. Not quite yet, though. Micro bend your knees and your elbows. Bend your knees a lot. Stick your butt back and stretch to down dog. Inhale, lift your heels, round forward. This time we will come all the way to a high plank. Hug your front body to your back body, claw the mat. And then exhale, glide back to downward facing dog. See how slow and deliberately you can move through this shape. Inhale, lift your heels, round forward, high plank. As you exhale, press your palms down even more and glide your hips all the way up and back. Like your inner thighs are magnetized to the back of your space. A little different this time. Inhale, lift your heels. We'll round forward, and then at the top of your high plank, keep buoyancy in your elbows, and we'll begin to shift all the way into upward facing dog, but with the toes tucked. So soften your pelvis down toward the mat. Keep pulling in and up through your low belly. Then press your heels to the back of the mat. Press your toes down. Lift your heart. Lift your eyes. Inhale. Exhale. Really, really use your core to round your spine to high plank. And then arc your spine. Glide back, downward facing dog. One more like this. Inhale, lift your heels. Round forward, high plank. As you exhale, begin to soften your way into upward facing dog. Biceps spin to the front of your mat. Shoulder blades hug the back of your heart. Lift up through the roof of your mouth. Elongate. And then exhale, use your core so strong to press the earth away. Micro bend knees and elbows and glide to down dog. Inhale, lift your heels, round to high plank. Exhale, bend your elbows into your rib cage, and then lower your pelvis, lower your heart, and lower your chin as you untuck your toes. And we'll do some prep work for strengthening the back body here. So you can glide your palms back so that the tops of your fingers are aligned with your highest ribs. As you inhale, press the tops of your feet down, lift your heart, and lift your hands. Baby Cobra. And we'll stay and breathe here for a few rounds of breath. Imagine that your sitting bones are stretching down towards your heels and that your heart is being pulled on a string forward to the top of your mat. So rather than focusing on a back bending action, try to prioritize lengthening the front line of your body. Take one more inhale here. Exhale, release down. Bring your palms forward so that you can stack them and rest your forehead to your palms. Take 2 breaths here just to let that go. Chill and release. Glide your palms back beside you. Take an inhale and press your feet down. Lift your heart, lift your hands. Now stay lifted and begin to reach your arms out wide to the side like you're an airplane. See if you can use your fingertips to find a little more lift, like you can catch the air with your hands, grip it, and then reach your heart higher. And slowly release down. This time bring your arms all the way forward to the top of your mat. Relax your heart, relax your chin, relax your palms. Right away, inhale, lift up again. Press your pubic bone down. Glide your palms out to the side. Feel the air with your fingertips. Lift just a little higher. And then relax down. Hands go forward to the top of your mat. We'll do one more. Inhale, lift your heart, lift your arms. Arms can go wide or maybe all the way to the back of your mat, and then stay with your thighs down and your feet down, or you can lift your feet. Squeeze the midline with your inner thighs. Activate your glutes. Imagine that your quads are lengthening, that all your abs are lengthening, that your heart is stretching forward and growing and growing and growing. Good. Release everything down. Plant your palms, tuck your toes. Press through high plank and back to downward facing dog. Take an inhale through your nose. And then take a clearing exhale out of your mouth. We'll begin to move a little bit more quickly now as the body is starting to wake up a bit more. Inhale, lift your heels, round forward, high plank, and then lower to upward facing dog, but keep your toes tucked. As you inhale, press into your feet, press into your left foot, pick up your right toes. See if you can just float them away from the mat. Keep the elbows micro bent, charge your left quad. Inhale here. Exhale, press to 3-legged down dog. Lift your right toes all the way up high. Left knee stays micro bent. Magnetize your heel toward the earth. Take another inhale here. See if you can grow through all the lines. Press down more to lift higher. Then as you exhale, lift your left heel. Hug your right knee toward your left tricep. Then swivel on your left foot so your heel can come down to the mat and your toes point to face the long edge, the left side. Hook your right ankle over the top of your left thigh. Bend your left knee deeply. Then press your right palm into the mat. Cactus your left elbow. Inhale. As you exhale, begin to press your left hand or your left foot and your right hand away from each other and down into the earth. So the left leg can draw toward straight. Cinch your right side body and expand your left side body. Begin to reach your left arm beside your ear. Inhale here. Then as you exhale, stretch your right leg all the way out toward the left side of your mat and anchor, knife edge of right foot down to the earth. Now, turn your left toes toward the back of your mat, bend your left knee, and as you inhale, find fallen triangle. Root your left big toe, your left pinky toe, gaze up toward the sky, expand the front line of your body. Inhale here. Then, keep your right foot exactly where it is. Spin your left toes back to face the side of your mat. Bend your knee. Anchor your left palm down and spin your left toes to the top of your mat. Now begin to crawl your feet away from each other as you lower your outer right hip down to the mat. This shape can feel a little funky, especially if it's the first time that you've ever tried it. So try to set yourself up somewhere that feels like a stretch, but it's comfortable enough that you can stay. Then plant your palms, stretch your heart to the top of your mat, and maybe lower to your elbows. The left toes can stay tucked, or you can untuck them if that feels better. And maybe the left knee comes down too, whatever feels good in your body. Keep an action of pulling your outer right hip back like it's stretching towards your left toes as your heart reaches for the top of your mat. We'll take 3 breaths here. And breathe along the outer line of right leg. Keep a flex in your right toes and press your big toe mound forward. If you lowered to elbows, come back up to your palms, plant them down, tuck your left toes if they're not, and then lift your outer right hip away from the mat. Now use your core. See if you can pull your right knee all the way in toward your chest. Really dome between your shoulders. Press the mat away and softly step right foot between your palms to the top of your mat. Come up to fingertips, and then as you inhale, anchor your feet down to rise up for high crescent lunge. Feel the earth beneath you. Try to get really sensitive down through the bottoms of both of your feet so you can feel the texture of the mat beneath you. And as you inhale, pull your inner thighs a little together. Then as you exhale, cactus your elbows, glide into your back body, lift your heart to the sky. Begin to circle your arms all the way down. Cast your torso forward to the top of the mat. Reach your fingertips forward. As you inhale, rise up to stand again. Open your arms, open your heart. Create a big circle in your shoulders. And then exhale. Belly to spine. Keep a flat back as you bow, chest to right thigh. One more time. Inhale. Rise up, open your arms, open your heart. Exhale, bow forward. This time, sprinkle your fingertips down to the mat to frame your right foot. Then squeeze your feet together so that the right leg draws straight-ish. We'll stay really lifted on the ball of the left foot, modified pyramid. The outer right hip is pulling back. The left hip is stretching toward the top of the mat. As you inhale, reach your spine. So stretch the core of your pelvis to the back of the mat, and then stretch from the base of your skull through the crown of your head forward. And as you exhale, imagine that your heart could melt forward and on top of your right toes. Okay, we have a fun transition coming up, so we'll press the left palm down. If you need to bend one or both knees in order to do so, go for it. Revolve on your left foot so that you can root your left big toe, your pinky toe, and your heel. Pick up your right foot and then glide it all the way behind you, stepping it off of the mat to the right side. Root your toes, and then we'll find wild thing. So you can soften your knees first, and then as your feet become more anchored, press into the earth. Reach your right arm all the way up and overhead. Feel your big toes. Feel all the points of connection between your feet, your left hand, and the mat beneath you. And then stretch more deeply there, like you could grow roots down. Then allow the front of your body to be like all these beautiful branches of a tree, growing and expanding infinitely skyward. Inhale. Exhale. Bend both knees. Spin your left toes back to face the side of your mat. We'll find a Vashistasana variation. So we're just going to float the right foot like an inch or so away from the mat. The left knee can be bent, or press it towards straight. Squeeze the left side body, open the right side. Inhale. Exhale, root your right palm, root your right toes, and glide back downward facing dog. As you inhale, lift your heels, round forward, high plank, and then find upward facing dog with the toes tucked. Keep buoyancy in your elbows. Spin biceps forward, triceps back, collarbones widen away from each other. Press down through your fingers. Then really, really root your right toes so that you can float your left toes away from the mat. Firm your right thigh. Inhale here. Exhale, press the earth away from you. Lift your left toes. Lift all the way back to three-legged down dog. The left leg is high. Activate your left back of leg by squeezing your glute and then lifting your toes maybe a little bit higher. As you exhale, lift your right heel, hollow your core, and pull your left knee toward your right tricep. Spin so that you can root the right heel. Hook the left toes to the outside of right thigh. Deeply bend your right knee, and then cactus your right elbow. Take an inhale here to feel into the anchor points, and then an exhale to press left hand and right foot down and away from each other. Right leg can draw toward straight or stay bent, whatever you need. Slide your right shoulder down your back and then stretch through right fingertips past the edges more than you think you can. Inhale. Exhale, extend your left leg out to the side of the mat and anchor knife edge of left foot down. And then begin to spin on your toes so that you can press your right toes to face the back of the mat. Bend your knee and then stretch into fallen triangle. Right arm goes all the way up and over. Feel your finger pads clawing the earth. Lift the fronts of your hips. Elongate the space of your hip crease, so stretching the hip flexors. Take one more inhale here. And then on your exhale, spiral back to face the top of the mat. The right palm comes down. Spin on your right toes until they face the top of the mat. And then we'll crawl the feet away from each other, coming down to the outer left hip. Once you've softly lowered your way down, find something that works for you, where you're feeling the outer line of your left leg and you feel that outer hip stretch, pulling toward the back of your mat. Inhale. Stay up on your palms or release down to elbows. Even if you do lower to your elbows, try to keep an action of stretching your heart to the top of the mat. It's just like in that Sphinx pose that we did at the beginning of the practice. So your elbows are pulling back towards your hips, towards your pelvis. Take one more breath here. Inhale. One more exhale. Press your palms down. Come back up to them if you weren't there, and then press them down. Tuck right toes so you can lift the outer left hip away from the mat. Now really squeeze your core and press the earth away from you to pull your left knee in towards your chest and then softly land to the top of the mat. Take a moment on fingertips to align your feet, and as you inhale, we'll rise up to high crescent lunge. Left knee is stacked over the left ankle. Keep your right thigh charged as you lift your fingertips higher. Slide your shoulders down your back and then squeeze them toward the midline, cactusing your elbows. Inhale to puff your heart toward the sky. As you exhale, circle your arms around and forward. Stretch fingertips to the top of the mat, but reach back with your inner thighs. And then inhale, rise all the way up. Open your heart, big circle with the arms. Exhale, reach forward through all 10 fingertips. One more time. Inhale, reach high. Anchor through all 4 corners of left foot. Open your heart. Exhale, reach around, forward, and now sprinkle fingertips down to frame the left foot. Pull your feet together. Outer left hip pulls back, right hip pulls forward. Right heel stays really lifted. Left knee can be micro bent, especially if you know that you have a tendency to hyperextend, which I definitely do. Take an inhale here to stretch your spine. And on the exhale, find more depth, whether that's internally, externally, or both. Root your right palm down to the mat. You can bend one or both knees. Then begin to revolve so that you can anchor the right heel down to the mat. Slide your left leg all the way around and then back behind you. Pivot as much as you need on your right foot until you can find Wild Thing. Root the left toes back behind you. Maybe bend the knees and then blast the front line of your body open. Again, going for length in the front line. Think more of lengthening from your pubic bone up to your sternum, more so than the back bending action. And that's a natural sort of effect of the lengthening in the front line. And then give yourself room to enjoy this shape. Find somewhere to stay for the last round of breath that is comfortable enough that you can feel this euphoric sensation of opening the heart. Good. Revolve your right toes to the side of the mat. Dig them down and then float your left foot just about an inch away from the right. Side plank Vashistasana. Inhale here. And then roll back to a high plank. Inhale. Exhale, downward facing dog. Lower both of your knees down to the mat. Let's sit back to the heels. The palms can face up or down on your thighs, whatever you need. Softly close your eyes and just take a couple of calming breaths here. If any emotions or sort of egocentric thoughts began to arise during any of those tricky transitions or more challenging, more sensational postures, allow this to be like a reset for your mind and your body. Remember, all we're doing is making shapes and just moving. It's not so serious. Inhale through your nose, and then take a big sigh out through your mouth. And blink your eyes open, and then begin to circle your fingertips out all the way up overhead. Bring palms to touch, gaze at your thumbs, and then bring your palms down through heart center all the way forward. Tuck your toes and press to downward facing dog on an exhale. As you inhale, root your left toes and sweep your right leg high, three-legged down dog. As you exhale, lift your left heel and draw your right shin to the top of the mat, aligning for half pigeon. You can flex the right foot, bring the knife edge down to the mat, and then crawl your left toes back behind you. Keep your left toes tucked and draw your fingertips in, either beside you or you can bring them to your hips, your pelvis. Now, as you inhale, pull your right knee and your left knee toward each other to actually lift your pelvic floor away from the earth. And then as you exhale, you can release back down. If it helps, float the arms up as you inhale. Squeeze your knees toward each other. And exhale, lower down. One more time, as if you're going to take flight. Inhale, rise your fingertips all the way up. Now, as you exhale, find an exalted warrior variation. So the legs are in half pigeon, obviously, but we can bring the right hand back to the left thigh and then lift from your pelvic floor up to your heart to stretch your left fingertips skyward. Now here, stay just with the left arm lifted, or you can begin to glide a little into your back body. Feel all the muscles in your back line activate. Take one more inhale. And then when you're ready, on an exhale, begin to fold forward to sleeping pigeon. So you can walk your elbows down. Try to find somewhere to relax your forehead so that you can soften through your shoulders all the way down your back. And let your jaw unclench. And breathe deeply, sweetly, calmly into the outer right hip. Notice what the sensations feel like in this posture today. Some days you might feel more open, more free. Other days it might be really, really sticky. And if that's the case for you today, try to send all of your awareness to the breath and to the sensation. And become so immersed in the experience that you can notice the really, really subtle untangling of knots, the gentle, gradual softening. And it doesn't mean that everything will become unstuck today or all at once. But allow the process to continue unfolding as you watch. Begin to rise. Press your palms down. Tuck your left toes. Glide your right knee all the way up your right arm. And then step back to downward facing dog. Rock your hips from side to side a few times, gently, right and left. And then when you're ready, root your right foot and lift your left leg high, three-legged down dog. Inhale. Exhale, half pigeon, left shin to the top of your mat. Crawl the right toes back behind you and bring your right knee down. And then stay onto fingertips, or you can walk the hands back. If this is feeling really intense, you can lessen the angle of the front shin and maybe curl your toes down so the top of your foot is down to the mat. As you inhale, squeeze your knees together, lift up from your low belly all the way through the crown of your head and maybe fingertips, and then exhale, softly release back down. 2 more times like this. Inhale, squeeze the midline, feel a rush of energy all the way up. Exhale, release. Inhale, use your inner thighs to lift high. And then as you exhale, float your left hand down to the back of right thigh. Reach up through your right fingertips and gaze upward. And stay or find a back bend. It can be really subtle or perhaps a bit more deep. And as you're ready, begin to fold forward. Feel that nice release that came from all of the opening before it. Take a sigh if you need one, or take any clearing sound. Begin to rise. Press your palms down. Tuck your right toes. And then glide all the way back to downward facing dog. Sink both of your knees down to the mat. And we'll shift to a seat. And then stretch your feet to the top of the mat. Root the soles down. And we'll lower to lie on our backs. Drop the back of your head and the back of your heart, and then hug your heels in pretty close to your sitting bones so that you can tickle them with your fingertips, and then walk them like an inch or so forward of your fingertips so the stance is a little bit extended. Now, press your feet into the earth, but still create like a lifting action through the arches of your feet. Squeeze your inner thighs together as if there's a block between them, and then begin to progressively roll up your spine, one vertebra at a time to find bridge. Draw your shoulder blades together underneath you, and then interlace your fingers at the base of your spine. Press the sides of your hands to the mat, the pinky finger sides. Feel your big toes rooting down. And notice if you're clenching your glutes, like you're squeezing them together. If so, can you relax them a bit and create an engagement of pulling your sitting bones down toward the backs of your knees? So it's a bit of a different engagement. Now you're welcome to stay here and keep breathing, or let's play with wheel. So undo the grip of your fingers, but keep your shoulders nice and tucked as you bring your palms beside your head with the fingers pointing down towards your heels. Press into hands and feet. Squeeze your elbows to the midline, rise to the crown of your head, and then keep magnetizing your elbows together as you lift all the way up. Stretch your arms towards straight. Now bend your knees a bit here, taking it easy as we open into wheel. Squeeze your inner thighs together, dig your big toes down, and then press your hands and your feet into the earth to expand your heart. And as we stay for a few more rounds of breath, try to imagine this as an opening, a lengthening in the front line of your body, more so than it is a back bend. Feel the support of your back body, the strength there that allows for this expansion in the front body. Take one more breath. And then when you're ready to come out, gaze toward the sky, bend your elbows and roll all the way down. If you were in bridge, undo your shoulders and roll down one vertebra at a time. And then find broken bridge. So extend your palms toward the sky. You can bring feet to the wide edges of your mat and let your knees fall in onto each other. Close your eyes and try to be really, really still. Notice your thoughts. Notice your sensations. Try to let everything just come through in its raw format, so exactly as it is, without imposing any layers, adding filters or stories or judgments. We'll do one more round. Blink your eyes open. And tickle your heels with your fingertips, and this time you can leave them there, or if you liked that longer stance, you can walk the heels a little bit more forward. And then anchor your feet, dig down so that you can pull your inner thighs together and roll up your spine one vertebra at a time. Shoulders hug the back of your heart. Hang out in bridge. And when you're ready, you can bring your palms beside your head. Take a calming breath here before you press up. Just try to let go of any urge to panic or any fear that is arising. Notice it, breathe into it. And then press more into the earth. Squeeze your elbows to the midline and rise up to wheel. And let there be movement here as you breathe. So as you inhale, you can bend your knees, dig your toes down. And as you exhale, press down even more. Draw your legs a little closer towards straight. Maybe pull your inner thighs together and stretch out. And we'll stay up just a little bit longer this round. But always feel free to come down if you need to or when you are ready. Your body will let you know. And if you're still with me, let's take one more breath here and wheel. And let this breath be just to enjoy how your body feels in this shape. And then gaze up and slowly lower down. If you were still in bridge, lower down too. And this time, let's hug the knees into the chest. Wrap your forearms around your shins and keep your back of your head and your sacrum rooted. And you can roll side to side, and roll in circles around the base of your spine. Let that go. And then wrap yourself up into a really cozy ball. Pull in everything. Take an inhale to squeeze tighter. And then an exhale to expand to Shavasana. And become as still as you can, as immediately as you can. Notice your heart space. If there still feels like there's any congestion in your heart space, take a breath into it. And on an exhale, imagine that it's leaving your body on the stream of your breath. And then let go of any urge to control the breath, to breathe at any sort of set rhythm or with any style of pranayama. Relax your toes, relax your fingers, let your palms expand and soften. Let your eyes sink to the back of your skull and let all your bones be so heavy. Fall into deep rest, and I'll wake you up in just a little bit. Begin to bring depth back to your breath and begin to breathe right to your heart with a warming quality to the breath so that your heart can melt. And then give the heart space a color, whatever comes to mind, and let it be a liquid, like it's fondue. Spread it down your arms, down your torso, down your legs. And begin to wiggle your fingers and your toes. And roll one ear to the mat, and then the other. And then on a big inhale, reach your arms back behind you, point your toes forward, and find a long body stretch. Stretching past the boundaries of your skin through your toes and your fingers. Roll to fetal pose. Sweetly, gently drop your head, drop your hands. And press into palms and rise to a seat. And let your seat be spacious and earthy. Then grow your spine and stretch your heart forward. Draw your palms to meet in front of your heart and notice the effects of this practice. How did these shapes and the movement and the breath and the flow and the effort affect your state on all levels? And lift your thumbs to your third eye and bow forward. Namaste. Thank you so much for sharing this practice with me today. I hope that you enjoyed. I hope your heart is feeling nice and light. If you have any questions or comments or feedback, leave them in the comments down below. And while you're there, you can also subscribe to my channel because that really supports me. I hope you're doing great wherever you are. I hope you're having a lovely December, and I'll see you very soon in another class. Bye.